Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor here. We are back with another One Leeds video. We are back with the three things that we learned from last night. Please get your comments in the section below. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Guys, I just wanted to just ask as well. I hope a lot of you are still getting your notifications. Please let me know if you're not getting your notifications. You can go through a troubleshoot thing via your YouTube. Make sure you do that, because if you're not getting notifications suddenly from One Leads, I'm always updating stuff on socials. I'm always updating stuff on the YouTube homepage as well. So make sure you are following me on all the socials as well, because you'll get updated and notified and all this sort of stuff. I'm having a few problems at this moment in time with YouTube, and I've no idea what's going on. But they are causing a few issues to the channel. So apologies for that. Apologies if you're not getting notifications and all this sort of stuff. Just make sure you're on with the socials, you're checking the homepage and stuff like that. I'll keep you updated as much as possible. It's been an absolute nightmare at the minute. So yeah, shout out to all of you guys for continuing to get those notifications. But Seb, as he said, he's not getting any. There seems to be some of you who aren't and some of you who aren't, which is a nightmare. But genuinely, I need a lot of you to just make sure your notification bell is switched on, which is right next to subscribe. You press subscribe, make sure the notification bell is selected to all, so you get notified from everything I upload, and then you'll hopefully get uploaded. You'll see a lot of the videos. So anyway, let's get into the lead stuff. Brandon says, proud of the lads last night. Gordon says, morning, Connor. I'm sat at Monk's Cross waiting for your podcast. Shout out to Gordon. Richard said he fell from the second tier last night. Hopefully, he did not fall on people for loads of response. But yeah, this is obviously the Leeds United fan yesterday who fell from a crazy height, and we're all hoping he's, we're hoping he's okay. That's horrendous, horrendous news. All fine my notifications. Morning, Connor. Proud of the performance last night. Just know if the game was at Ellen Road, we win onto the weekend. Keep the pressure on Leicester. I genuinely can't. I can't believe it. I couldn't believe. I could believe that we'd lost last night, because it is just so Chelsea Leeds at Stamford Bridge. It is just, I mean, when was the last time we won there? Was it the Stephen McPhail double? It probably was, wasn't it? But they didn't deserve it, honestly. Like, I'm not coming on it. It's not bitter lemons. I watched the game again back this morning with the extended highlights before doing this, and just the control in that second half was just so expert from Leeds. The pressure elements, when Chelsea trying to press on us, how we're able to deviate that, the pass selection, the decision making was brilliant. It was all just brilliant. And for us to lose that at the end to him as well, it's like Conor Gallagher. It was just written. It was written. I said it last night on the review, but I did feel it in my bones. I did feel that they were going to score at some point through some concentration leak, some focus leak. And I don't want to be blaming anyone, but, the usual suspects last night, the usual suspects were absolutely brilliant. And the usual suspects were a little bit like the usual suspects have been. I'm talking Melier, Firpo, Cooper, but I'm not here to absolutely slap on the Piroe in there as well. But I'm not here to slap on them. Of course, I'm not. But it is. We have to talk on the three things right here, right now, about the. I want to talk about the midfield in a little bit, which I got a lot of backlash for on social media yesterday. So I want to discuss that in the three things. But as well, I just want to talk about the players who have adapted. You look at the Leicester game, you look at the Chelsea games. These are going to be Premier League games if we're there next season. So we have got to look at these two games as a small sample size, because we've got nothing else. But if you've seen two players, three players, four players, however many players step up in these games, then there's a likelihood that they will be able to cope at Premier League level. And I think we saw that last night from certain personnel, and we're going to get into that in just a bit. And this is good news. This is good news. People, we're getting a lot. I was getting a lot of rubbish last night for having a midfield selection who I thought last night were literally top. So many superlatives to describe them, and you're getting hammered for not, going with the usual suspects. But I just thought they were excellent last night, and we'll get into that, of course. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I can only say to you, when it comes to subscribers, mate, turn the notification bell on. Always follow me on socials, and I'll update you constantly. I really will do. So please make sure you're doing that. Connor, our January window and not replacing person who left on low meant we couldn't go stronger in the game. Yeah, I agree. Tom says Leeds were class last night. I don't think Chelsea win if that game was played at Ellen Road. Roberts looks like a young ailing. It's interesting, Tom, I didn't think Roberts was that good. I think there was a lot better. I think there was a lot better out there in terms of Leeds players, the performance levels. I didn't think Roberts was that great, to be honest with you. But that's just personal. I thought he was okay last night. Morning, Connor. Hype for my Leeds trip next week. Should have won yesterday. My neighbour, who's a Chelsea fan, couldn't believe what he was watching. Brandon says, showed our application for Prem last night to get a decent left back and a few other positions, and we are mid-table. We are a mid-table team. Yeah, so let's get in. I guess it's the prevalent issue we do not issue. It's a great little bit of discussion, isn't it? Before we get into it, everyone, please make sure you're liking the video, as I say, if you're enjoying it. But it is the midfield discussion, isn't it? And for me, what I learned last night, and as you guys know, what I've always known, is it's Ampadu and it's Gray. All day and all night. Now, the rationale from a lot of people is kind of look at when we've been unbeaten, look at what we've done in the championship. Correct. But we've also seen Ampadu in midfield this season be the best midfielder in the division. Last night, he was just unbelievable. And this is the thing, in midfield, he's better than when he's in defence because midfield's a tougher position than being a defender. It's much tougher. Central midfield is, in my opinion, the toughest position on the field. So if he's able to be even better in central midfield than he is at centre-back, why would we not utilise that? Or what about Gruev? What about Kamara? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you've got a player there in Ethan Ampadu, who is the best player, arguably, in the championship in midfield, doesn't matter about anyone. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whose performance has been expert. Doesn't matter who's been, some of the best performers. When Ethan Ampadu is what Ethan Ampadu is in central midfield, which he has been in the championship, and he's proven it last night in a dominant fashion. I personally thought Ethan Ampadu controlled the narrative. He orchestrated. He conducted. He won balls. Enzo. If you're looking at Enzo in comparison to him, I bet Ampadu's thinking, Jesus Christ, what have they done? Spent that much money, got him on that sort of contract, and look what I've just done to him. He decimated that midfield with Archie, and we'll get onto Archie in a little bit. But those two together, Ethan in that midfield was unbelievable throughout the entire 90. His ball recoveries, his IQ in that midfield. Who's to say as well, by the way, in these championship games, we wouldn't have been even better with Pascal and Ampadu in there. We need to recognise, in my opinion, as a fan base, as a collective, that this may even improve Leeds even more. I'm looking at a Pascal, Rodon, Ampadu, Premier League 3 as a trio, just together as that cluster. Ethan Ampadu, when Pascal Strauch's back, starts every day of the week in midfield. Every day of the week. And that is why he was playing in midfield and wasn't playing at the back. And Pascal Strauch was captain 13 out of 14 times before he was injured because Daniel Farke knows his worth. So regardless of opinion, really, Ampadu will be going back into midfield and Pascal will be coming back at the back. So madness, not madness changing a winning team. Well, I get that to an extent, but if your team's improving and the caliber of the team is improving even further, it's not madness at all. If the team's degrading, 100%. If you're just moving a certain person on for a certain person and they're at the same level, well, yeah, you're right. Why would you change a winning team? But you change a winning team if it's going to improve even greater. Of course you would. I would. And for me, Ethan Ampadu showed last night why he's a Premier League player. And we said this at the start, 7 million. We said on a video, I could not believe he's at Leeds. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe he'd signed for us for 7 million quid. I thought Ampadu was going to be playing Premier League. There's rumours about Bundesliga teams looking at him. Jesus Christ, there was rumours that Leverkusen were looking at him at the start of the season. Alonso likes him. So us getting him for 7 million quid was unbelievable. And last night, it was I keep saying coming of age performance, but he's against the team he was been at for however many years in Chelsea, 5 to 7 years or whatever it's been. He's come back and dominated the midfield, dominated it. And I'm still getting people saying, what about Gruev and Kamara? Look, Gruev and Kamara, I love Gruev and Kamara. Absolutely love them. But you've got an elite midfield, in my opinion, a proper Premier League midfield, which there's questions. Have Leeds had that when we've been in the Premier League? A proper midfield too. You have just so many attributes and are young and have got so many levels to go. I don't think we have, to be honest. Let's have a look at some of your comments. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. Surely Farke can't drop Joseph. Oh, we'll get on to that, Bobby. We'll get on to that because Mr. Gabe, listen. Oh, ooh, Gabe, I'm coming for you here, mate. I'm coming for you because I got told it was almost Joseph over Piroe. I said this a while ago, and we'll get into this. And now I'm turning into a hypocrite because I'm now been an "I told you so" merchant, but it's just a Gabe, no one else. Ryan says, "Scatter that side with a bit of Premier League quality in it. It could be a good year if we finish the top, finish the job in the division." Yeah, I agree with you, Ryan. I agree. Keep getting your comments and everybody on the Ampadu stuff. Which team was the Prem team? Ampadu's a great team, but with Ben Pascal being out, I think he's our best option to cover it. Oh yeah, Jay, you bang on. Like you can't. I think maybe this was being misconstrued last night as well when I was discussing it. I'm not saying take Ampadu out of centre back now. I'm not saying disrupt that now. But I am saying when Pascal comes back and he's fit and ready, Pascal goes straight back into centre back and he has to make a decision of who drops out, Gruev or Kamara. Ampadu goes back into the middle. People have this memory loss about Ampadu when he was the best Championship midfielder before Pascal got injured. There is much more emphasis in that midfield on quality. There's much more emphasis on moving the ball quicker. Ethan Ampadu, for me, is a level up. He's a level up, and he's proven it in so many games this season. And I want him back in midfield. That's what I'd like. And I was so proud of him last night. I was so proud of him. What he did to that midfield, and almost just going like that. Have that. That's for letting me go. Brilliant. And I'm so proud of him. I've been in Gibraltar for a week and proud watching Leeds in the pubs. Yeah, let me know if you guys are going to Huddersfield. I'm going at the weekend. Be interested to see if some of you there. Would you put Gruev and Ampadu together? I don't know, Paul. I don't know. That it's something I need to see a little bit more of. Gruev and Ampadu. Obviously, we've not seen a lot of that. It's definitely something I need to just visualize a little bit because the times we've seen it or the time we've seen it really didn't work. But could Gruev be a little bit more progressive? Could he be the advanced one? I don't know. I love Kamara. I absolutely love Kamara. I think Kamara's a brilliant footballer, and this is a great dilemma that we have. You know, listen, Kamara's everything we want as well in a play that gets forward. I think Archie could be a little bit more impactful getting forward in that number 8 role, getting shots off, almost joining that attack. I think Kamara can be a little bit more, he's a bit more sexy in possession, isn't he? He likes his checks. He likes ball rolling and moving beyond a midfielder. I like Kamara a lot, but he's different to Archie. Archie's more dynamic. I'm not saying he is here, by the way. I'm not saying he is, but Archie gives you the more of the Gerrards, the box to boxes. Kamara's a little bit more of a smooth operator on the ball, who's maybe instead of willing to get a shot off, which we know Archie is. We saw that in the Leicester game. He'll pass the ball, but for me, guys, we have too many of those. We've got too many players, in my opinion, who are reluctant to shoot and want to play that extra pass. They want to play that extra pass, which then overcomplicates the process. Archie gets the ball, wants a shot. He'll use his brain. Should I shoot? Should I not shoot? But he'll get a shot off. I think Kamara is all about recycling the ball, keeping possession, and that's great. But I think I love Archie's decisiveness in those situations for such a young lad. So let's have a quick discussion about Archie Gray then. Man of the match, 17 years of age, was trending on social media last night. What do we say? Jude Bellingham. That's why we're talking about it on the channel. This kid's trajectory, what he's done right now. In comparison, I think Jude was probably about 6 months younger or whatever, because I think he was 16. But you literally compare what they're doing at this age. Jude did brilliant at Birmingham. Archie's played several different positions, left back, central midfield, right back. In my opinion, looked brilliant in all of them, even though left back's been a little bit, sort of he's not done it as much. But he has been put there in games as well, which maybe people haven't noticed at points. As sort of like a recovery for a corner or whatever, when he's in that left back position, just cover him. What more do you say about him? What more do you say about him? And that is why I look at him and Ampadu together and I think, could it be even greater? And it's another one. It's another one who, with how good he is, he's wasted at right back. He's wasted at right back for me. I love him. I think he's been brilliant, but he shouldn't be in a position where he can only get forward at a certain point. His main task really is to defend. Archie Gray should have the license to thrill, box to box, joining the attack, but defending as well, being combative. We saw it earlier on in the season. into that central midfield space. He was just quality. And I love him at right back. But I think Ampadu, I think Archie, long term, are wasted in those positions. And I think Farker knows that. But they have to do a job right now. And I think Premier League, that switches up, to be honest. But I think they're wasted in the position. And that's not to say they're not doing brilliant jobs, because they are, obviously. But I think they can influence games a lot more. And a central midfielder is the engine, the brain of the operation. How good was Anthony last night? Paul, listen, mate. Yeah, we'll get on to that in just a little bit. But I think defensively, I think not great. Not great. I think sometimes I was getting a little bit annoyed at him just pointing for somebody to get the man when it was Anthony's man, especially for that first goal. But going forward, he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. He was the main guy. And there's an argument last night that as soon as Cree and Nonto came on, Leeds lost a little bit of impetus. I think they were giving the ball away cheaply. I think James was poor last night, but I think towards the end of the game, he grew into it a little bit, put a lovely ball in for Mateo Joseph, where he should have scored his hat trick. But James came into it a little bit more. He looked, and I put this out on Twitter, but he looked very much of Daniel James in the Premier League, which we all know what that was because he's improved greatly in the Championship, but he very much looked back to old Dan James last night. But I did think when James and Anthony came off, Anthony grew into it, of course he did, but I think when they both came off and Cree and Nonto came on, I thought we lost a little bit. I thought those two were playing their own little game at some point. So, yeah, that's a big testament to Anthony because we know how good Nonto and Somerville in particular has been. But yeah, I thought we missed Rutter last night. Of course, I thought we missed Bamford as well. But this is why, guys, we have conversations, and I feel like this is why we do have to bring this up continuously, really, of Dan James and people. Once again, a lot of you agree, but this is why we're having the conversation. But Dan James has got to prove it at Premier League level. Is that what Dan James is going to be like in the Premier League? This is what I'm talking about. And I think we definitely lost something when it came to a bit of energy, a little bit of endeavour. He definitely got better. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I was looking at players last night, and you should have all been looking at players last night because you're 100% against a multi-billionaire squad. Football Manager, FIFA for this guy in terms of buying players. But you have got to put these Leeds players up against this lot because this is what we're going to be coming up against. You've got to put them up against that Leicester squad because this is what we're going to be coming up against. This is the sample size, the pot. So this is why I say, we've got to judge them on these games, not really Plymouth and Bristol City. And I was doing last night. And this is what I'm saying with James. If James was what he's been Championship, and we know he's had an injury, but if James was what he was Championship last night and he was ripping them apart, which I thought he might last night, I said it. I said I'd have started him. And I thought he'd have given Chilwell if he'd have started a problem. But I thought sometimes you saw him losing the ball. The tendencies were there from yesteryear. They were tight on him. And I think that naturally means that Dan James has to get the ball into feet and use his technical ability, which I don't think he's got that much of. So, yeah, I think he struggled last night. But, you don't just judge him on that, but it's interesting. It is interesting. But Matthew says, Gray can play anywhere. He's magnificent. Kamara gives strength in midfield. Utilise Gray will be massive. Remember, he's only 17. Needs looking after too. Hey, mate, he put himself on the map last night. I don't think it's going to be a case of Archie Gray sitting on the bench if we're to get to the Premier League. I don't think that's going to be the case. It was a good thing he played last night for the world to see. Gray's a superstar in the making. We need to keep hold of him. He's priceless. Archie Gray is shockingly bad. No top team should be looking at him even at 70 million. Might as well just stay at Leeds. Chelsea, Liverpool will be looking at Somerville. Yeah, they are. They definitely are. League is our main target right now. Guys, become a YouTube member as well. You can do that by hitting the join button. You can join Patreon as well. We've got Generation Leeds coming up. We had me and Gabe talking the other night as well. Paul Gray says, in fairness to Dan James, he played as a 9 a lot in the Prem under Bielsa, then we loaned him out. Did we see him in his correct position? I think it's just looking at a footballer, mate. I think Dan James' strength is ball over the top, isn't it? It's ball over the top of defences. And in the Premier League, that doesn't really happen. It doesn't really happen. Unless you're playing a team with a really, really high line, Liverpool. I know, there's some other teams who play relatively high lines. Bournemouth play relatively high one as well. But you don't really see that ball over the top. So when the ball's into feet and you've got a left back pressing on you instantaneously or a left winger pressing on you instantaneously, that brings up a lot of questions. And that's why I have always said on this channel in the Premier League, I choose Nonto over James because his technical ability, ball into feet and moving it quicker is Nonto's a better technical footballer. He is. James is in. There's an argument that James this season has been in better form in the Championship, all relative conversation, but in the Premier League, willing on to his technical ability will aid him a lot more. Jinking past players, agility, football brain, left foot and right foot. I think Dan James does enjoy the ball being put up behind, and that gets old. You saw Chelsea sort of figure that out pretty quickly after the first 35, 40 minutes when Joe Rodon kept pegging that ball over Gilchrist and straight to James, and they sort of figured it out. It felt like the goalkeeper was on his toes a little bit more, playing that sweeper keeper coming to collect it, and Gilchrist was playing a little bit more of a higher line, trying to catch Dan James offside, which he did a couple of times. So I think there's ways to figure that out, and I think defenses in the Premier League will figure that out. So that's why I think you get more with Nonto than James in the Premier League. Let's get into Joseph, shall we? This is why I was, and a lot of you guys did agree, but I wanted him in that number 9. I think he's got all the attributes at this moment. He's got the athleticism. He's a big lad now. You look at him, he's physically developed a lot, and I love that. He's been in the gym, he's been working out. You can tell he looks quick over a short distance. And I'm going to get to that word that you guys probably all hate me saying, but he's all of these things encompassed. He's tall, looks about 6'1". He's the perfect profile of a number 9. So when we were speaking about Yo Piroe playing in the 9, and we had the option before when Paddy was injured, and it was between Piroe and it was between Joseph, really. The conversation was, sorry, Gabe, but the conversation was he's never played before. He's got no minutes. He's got no experience. Play Piroe. And I got that. The problem is Piroe, we'll get onto him in just a sec, but Joseph is the perfect profile. He's the last line. He plays as a number 9. He utilizes he does what Patrick Bamford does, stretches the opposition, and he fights. Did we see him fight last night? Loving it. Ball coming to me. Have that. Get your shoulders in between. Ball on the chest. Nod it on. And Leeds then win the second balls. But they've got to take a gamble, Leeds. When Joe Rodon's playing that ball, he's trusting in Joseph's he's gonna get something on it. His shoulder, his chest, whatever. You've got to be around him with those second balls. Got to be around him with those second balls. And sometimes last night I was frustrated because Joseph was doing so well in being able to bring the ball in, knock it off, and Leeds weren't there. A second ball, but in the second half we started getting around him a lot more, which I thought was a tactical change from, or sort of just a sort of in the air discussion that maybe Farker had with some of our attacking players, but we're in and around Joseph a lot more because he was winning a lot. His duels were brilliant last night, so he's winning duels. He's aggressive. He's tenacious. He's up against Premier League centre backs and full backs, and he's doing a job. He's getting in between them. He's the last line of the look. We're looking at an argument right now where if he's able to start again and he scores again, and he puts in a similar performance, and he's a problem, he starts above Bamford long term potentially. So listen, he was brilliant last night. Absolutely brilliant. Deserves all the flowers and scored 2 goals against Chelsea. Look at that second goal. Awareness in between the centre back and the full back. Keeping onside. Brilliant ball in from Anthony. It was a really good head wrong. And he should have had a hat-trick, shouldn't he, with James playing that ball in. He should have. The ball just didn't fall to him. But yeah, going up against, I believe it was it Badi Ishie and Trevor Chalobah last night? It might not have been, I can't remember. No, it was Desahi, wasn't it? Disasi, is that right? Disasi and Chalobah. Well played to him. Fair dues. So let's see. Joseph was brilliant. He has everything. Great touch. Loved seeing him play last night. Joseph Somerville, Rutter, imagine that. 100%, mate. After watching Joseph a lot for the 21s this season, it's great to see how much he's developed. Didn't look out of place at all. He didn't. And he's got a little bit of the shit houses about him as well. There is a reason why Madrid are looking at him. Brandon, there was, and I know this for a fact. You guys know where I worked before, and I know this for an absolute fact. There was 16, 17 clubs all wanting and looking at Joseph in the summer. 16, 17. So they all know about him. They're all aware of him. They all know about his ability. So, if Bamford's out, do you start Joseph at the weekend? Piroe. So spoken about James, and in my opinion, none to over James. That I do still believe. We've spoken about Archie and Ampadu, which should be the midfield, in my opinion, going forward long term. Um, we're going to still speak about Joe Rodon, but Piroe. So to summarise my thoughts, that's why you guys are here. No way, no way, and I could be proven wrong. I was proven wrong about Dan James, but I'm still, I'm not being stubborn, but I am sort of holding on to what I've said about Dan James the whole way through. He needs to show it in the if he shows it in the Premier League, shuts me up, no problem, and I will support him. I think he's shown a level up in his game this season, which I didn't expect. I expected him to do okay in the Championship because it's a step down, but I've seen development in his game, anticipation, interpretation, ball striking ability. I've seen all that develop. We'll see it in the Premier League if that's going to sort of elongate and be a thing. Joe Piroe, I've always looked at, and I got battered for this, his athleticism, his physicality, and big moments. Match winning. He's not had any of them, in my opinion, for Leeds in terms of match winning. I think was there a Plymouth game at home where it was 2-1 or whatever, and he scored. He scored from the edge of the box. Or was that Bristol City? It was Bristol City, wasn't it? I think. I don't right now, right here, right now, I don't see how that guy works in the Premier League. And I think there's a reason he scored 41 goals in 80 games, and there's been no Premier League clubs who've picked him up in that time period. I don't see how that works at all. I don't see what he has about his game that speeds him up, that makes him a little bit more athletic, that makes him more aware. I'm not seeing any of this when he gets the ball into these central spaces, looking over the shoulder to see who's coming. Enzo robbed him about 4 times last night when he's in possession. I like his technical ability on the ball. I think on the ball, technically, very good. That doesn't get you far enough, I don't think, in the Premier League. So if we are to get there, if we are to remain in the Championship, you obviously keep Yo Piroe around. In the Premier League, if I'm being absolutely honest with you guys, if we bought him for 16 million quid or whatever it was, 10 to 16 million quid, I would be looking at maybe cashing in from a Championship club and spending that money again. Or he's a very, very, very irregular bench option. So I think there's probably better bench options. And maybe Mateo Joseph's going to prove it and prove it and prove it, especially if we go up and buy a number 9, out and out number 9, and Joseph's his understudy, or Bamford's still in there, whatever. What then happens to Piroe? Because he was playing in his preferred position last night, in my opinion. He was almost that number 10, and where he's been better when him and Bamford have been playing, or him and Rutter have been playing. And I don't see him in games, everyone. I see when we're winning a game, he'll contribute. And this isn't to slight on him too much, but I'll see him contribute goal wise. I don't see him being a match winner for Leeds at all. You know, I thought he went quiet in the Leicester game, went quiet in the Chelsea game. I think there's been enough of a sample size now. And he's got the crazy thing about it is it's an absolute mind F because he scored 11 goals, which is very decent for your first season. Of course it is. But we all know what we're talking about here. You know, football's not a game that's just played on paper. You're watching him, and at points it feels like Leeds have got 10 men, defensively and offensively. That's my sort of view on him at the minute. I am not, by the way, I am not at all questioning his personality, his commitment at all. I'm not questioning his character, not at all. He seems like a lovely lad. And I think this sort of like intertwines itself sometimes. We've got to listen to what's been said. I think he seems like a lovely lad. See, I've watched a lot of his interviews, a lot of the stuff he's done with LUTV, and it's not me being negative. It's not at all. Promise you. I look at Leeds United in the Premier League, and I don't see how this guy fits in. Is he starting for you week in, week out? Probably not, is he? And we don't know where he plays. You know, we've signed a player who we don't know where he plays, but he's contributed, which has been excellent to Leeds United's Championship campaign so far, and I think he'll get more goals. Of course, he will. But I do question that long-term vision with Piroe. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Yeah, Tashin. Yeah, I know, mate. Yeah, Strasbourg, he was being looked at by them. I don't know if he'd have gone straight into their B squad or whatever. Obviously, it wouldn't have been in their squad. Bobby Piroe is such a weird. He's a weird player, and that's why it's hard, and that's why you'll naturally get people saying, you're talking. He scored 11, and people are right. People are, how can I come on here and criticize him? How can I come on here and say he's not Premier League quality? He scored 11 goals for us, and it's what, Feb, and he's been out of games. But I think the context is Leeds have dominated teams in the Championship, and at points they've been 2-3 up, or they've been 1-0 up, or whatever, and he's then contributed goals, contributed penalties, of course. But I don't think he's been winning games, and he's just, I don't see him in games. And then when I see him in games, he's slow, he's sluggish to release the ball when the game is played at such a quick tempo, even Championship level. Imagine what it's going to be like in the Premier League. Matthew Palmer says, Piroe does not suit our style of play. He plays in a box or doesn't play at all. He's awful, number 10 role. He has a few goals, though. He needs to be in the box. And maybe that's why you keep him in the Premier League, because he's got a few goals, and the likelihood is we keep him in the Premier League. I think we do, but there's no way he starts. And for him to almost be the marquee signing, I do think there'll be people behind the scenes, which is mental. It's mental. But they'll be a little bit disappointed, I think, because if they were related with it, he'd be starting every week. He's the record signing, he's the marquee, isn't he? He'd be starting every week, and he's not. It's not really a dip in form with Piroe, because he consistently does what he does. It's more of he just doesn't fit. And I don't know where he fits, to be honest with you. So I think it's not just a Leeds thing. You see so many formations in football where it's 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1 is probably the most commonly used formation. Where's he fitting in a lot of teams? Unless you play sort of a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-2-1. But yeah. Pro number 10, not hating on him. He scored goals this season. I just see nothing from him, really. Get him in the box, good box to box. I love these videos, kind of rating all the players. Thanks, Paul. Really appreciate it. Just make sure you're liking the video, everyone. You might not agree with what I'm saying, but if you're enjoying the content and you like the three things, please make sure you're doing so. As I say, if you're enjoying the just live streams in general, I do like to mix them up, as you guys know. But I think the three things, it's always good to get your thoughts as well. But yeah, Rodon, I wanted to sort of finish off with him. Brilliant. Again, I thought in the Leicester game, he wasn't great. I thought his passing distribution wasn't superb, but once again, you've got Piroe in that number 9, and he's not showing for it. So Rodon's playing that ball centrally to the striker, where Bamford's been constantly, and he's receiving the ball. Rodon sometimes I felt was playing the ball blind, which is a criticism to him, but he's expecting the striker to be that. Piroe's just not there. The defender's getting in front of him because he's quicker, he's more athletic, he's getting in front of Piroe, he's more on it. And that's where I've got a little bit of sympathy for Joe Rodon, because you actually saw him with the number 9, and he's flying those balls into Joseph, and Joseph is receiving them. If it's a ball in the air, it's ball on the ground, he's receiving them, holding the ball up well, and moving it on. So yeah, I thought he was really good last night. I thought his pass selection was good. He was incredible in the air, again, as we expect. He was a leader, and I thought everything about Rodon's game was excellent last night. He was really, really, really good. And these are players who we've spoken about. So we know which players are gonna sort of settle in the Premier League, I think, if we are to get there. And we I think once again, as we all know, we were surprised probably by Mateo Joseph last night. But I'm not sure any of us were surprised by Archie Gray, by Ampadu, by Rodon. Who else? I think that's probably about it. But we weren't surprised by a lot of the lads last night who performed well. And Firpo, it's Firpo, isn't it? And once again, we've spoken about the Premier League level, and we've seen him recently against Leicester struggled massively, and Chelsea, I thought he struggled hugely defending last night, and the focus was off again. So this is, look, we all know this. We all know where we need to improve. And I think that's why I love you guys on this channel, because I don't think a lot of you get carried away with what we see. Firpo has been really good in the Championship. Of course he has. Dan James has been brilliant in the Championship. Players like, but long term, are these players who want to be starting in the Premier League if we are to get there? Um, Hi, Connor. I'm away in Thailand at the minute. Got up in the middle of the night to watch the game. Thought Piroe looked out of his depth. I like your setup. Connor looks very professional. Cheers, my man. Really appreciate that. Connor, please excuse some comment for not making too much sense. I'm sat at work listening on. Love the One Leeds Fan Channel. Thank you, my man. Really appreciate that. Yeah, Cooper's another one, Dave. Cooper's another one. Yeah. Cooper, Furpo. Yeah, and do you know what? I'm not going to lump James into the same bracket because I think James has been brilliant this season, but I'm just talking about that long term view. But yeah, Cooper and Furpo just can never be a feature in the Premier League. It just can't. They're just they have bozo moments, idiot moments, and we saw a couple of them last night. I don't want to be seeing them in the Premier League at all. You know, Cooper's thumping the ground last night after the third one went in. How many times have we seen that? You know, where he's oh no, oh I've done it again. Yeah. But it is what it is. Everyone, I'm buzzing with last night. I'm still gutted, I have to say, because I think a Leicester at home would have been a really nice one for Leeds, and I think we'd have maybe got that one done, and then we'd have been into like the last four or whatever it'd have been. But I'm going to be at the Huddersfield game at the weekend. I'm sure I'll see a lot of you guys there. Then I'll be at the Stoke game as well, buzzing for that one. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love the interaction. Please make sure as well you switch that notification bell on, everybody. It seems like notifications aren't showing for whatever reason. Become a YouTube member as well. Only £2 a month. Massively helps the channel. If you want additional content, head on over to the Patreon, £4 a month. All links in the description. Download SofaScore as well. I know a lot of you were using it last night. I can't believe they give Archie Gray 6.7. We'll be having words. And guys, make sure you like the video before heading off as well. Guys, thank you so much. And I will see you in a bit. Cheers.